Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the school board meeting to order. Mrs. Bass, please call the roll.
District 1, Barbara McQuinn, absent. District 2, Chuck Shaw. Here. District 3, Karen Brill. Here. District 4, Erica Whitfield. Here. District 5, Frank Barbieri.
Here.
District 6, Marcia Andrews. Here. District 7, Deborah Robinson.
We have a quorum with 6 board members present. Let the record reflect that also present at the dais tonight are Superintendent Dr. Donald Fenoy, Inspector General Mr. Lung Chu, General Counsel Mrs. Julie Ann Rico, and County Council of Student Council's President Mr. Nolan Ursoy from Park Vista High School. At this time, I'd like to introduce the Palm Beach Gardens Community High School Navy Junior ROTC, who will be presenting the flag, and here to sing the national anthem is Mr. DeMarcus Williams, a music instructor at Congress Middle School. Would you all please stand for the pledge and the performance?
Mark time. March. Inboard. Base. Color guard. Halt. Present. Colors. Ready. Cut.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ready. Cut. Mark time. March. Outboard. Base. Forward. March.
Great job, everyone. Thank you. We'd like to acknowledge the principal of Palm Beach Gardens High, Dr. Donald Hoffman, and the principal at Congress Middle, Mrs. Denise O'Connor, whose students and teacher performed here this evening. Before we get started on the agenda, I'd like to remind all that this meeting is being transcribed in real time so it can be viewed with closed captioning. Please speak at a reasonable pace so the transcribers can fully capture what you are saying. The next item on the agenda will be the items added, LD1, P2, P3, P4, Item LD1, Renaissance Charter School, Inc. versus School Board of Palm Beach County, Florida is being added. Good cause exists for this item being added to the agenda so the board can make a determination on its appellate rights within the time frame required by law. P2, personal addendum. Good cause exists to add this item so employees may begin in their new positions as soon as possible. P3, revised salary schedules for school-based administrators, and P4, revised salary schedules for non-bargaining unit employees, including administrative, professional, and managerial, miscellaneous, and confidential. Good cause exists to add these items to allow for the processing of salary increases in a timely manner. REG-N1, Second Amendment to the MOU with the City of West Palm Beach for Northmore Elementary. Good cause exists to add this item in order to have it processed before the end of the March deadline. Mr. Superintendent, are you withdrawing any items?
Yes, sir. I'm withdrawing COM 8 and PSI, personnel disciplinary action.
All right, and so far we have two items pulled, C1, CI1, CI2, and FMPF1. Any other board members? Board members want to pull any other items at this time? All right, we need a motion to approve the agenda. Mrs. Andrews made the motion, seconded by Mrs. Whitfield. Any discussion? All in favor, all opposed, motion carries 6-0. Disclosures and abstentions, anyone? Seeing none, Mr. Superintendent, comments?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So, good evening to everyone, and many congratulations are in order this evening. First of all, I'd like to announce that we are celebrating two birthdays at the dais today. Ms. Erica Whitfield, whose birthday is March 23rd, and Ms. Marsha Andrews, whose birthday is March 31st. Let's give them a round of applause. So this week, we did announce some very special recognitions, but because Ms. Andrews' birthday is coming, I'm going to let her make those announcements when the time permits. But we'll get to that. I also want to congratulate Lakeisha Nathan, who has been selected as the new principal of Hope Centennial Elementary School. Ms. Nathan has served as an instructional support team leader for the Central Regional Office for the past 4 years. I'd like to invite her and the instructional superintendent, Mrs. Vivian Green, to come to the table to say a few words at this time.
Good evening to our board chair, to all the board members. It gives me great honor to introduce to you the new principal of Hope Centennial Elementary School, Mrs. Lakeisha Nathan.
Chairman Barbieri, Vice Chairman Shaw, board members, Superintendent Dr. Fenoy, Deputy Superintendent Oswald, Dr. Rodriguez, and Mrs. Green. Good evening. My name is Lakeisha Nathan, and I am deeply humbled to stand before you today in becoming the next principal of Hope Centennial Elementary School. It is my privilege to serve the students, parents, teachers, and the surrounding community of Hope Centennial. I would like to thank my family, who is to my right, my husband, Andre, my two children who are products of the Palm Beach County school system, my son, Aaron, who's in the 5th grade, my daughter, Asha, who's in the 2nd grade, and my mother, Mrs. Berry. Will you please stand, please? Thank you for putting up with all of my bright ideas, all of my wacky dreams. I'm deeply indebted. I would like to also thank all of my mentors who have poured into me in helping me grow and become a leader. I would also like to express that I am excited to work in CE2, Central Region Elementary 2, under the leadership of Vivian Green. And I would also like to say to the board that I can assure you that I will work most earnestly to fulfill not only Hope's vision and mission, but also the district's vision, mission, and the strategic plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, congratulations, and we look forward to the awesome work that will be continued at Hope Centennial. And finally, last week marked the 1 year since the school board selected me as the superintendent. And I would like to take this opportunity to present some highlights from my first year on the job. Let's see if I can get it to work. All right. So, board members, how quickly a year goes. A year ago this month, I had the honor of being chosen as the superintendent of this great district. To mark the anniversary, I wanted to take some time this evening to capture some of our work together over this past year. I first want to thank the school board and staff for their all-in approach to school safety and student mental health. Your support to improve our school police force and take the necessary steps to protect our schools has resulted in an officer in every school and a school police division that is well on its way to becoming a model police force for all of Florida, and I dare say the nation. I could not be prouder of how this school board and the district staff navigated and responded to the lessons of the Parkland tragedy. We've grown and learned from unspeakable loss. Supporting the needs of our students' social and emotional well-being continues to be a priority. Thanks to the diligent work of the Deputy Superintendent and his team, we were able to respond to the mandates of the Marjory Stoneman Douglas Safety Bill, co-locate additional services on campus, and develop 2 CAPE crisis teams. You were just briefed on this last week, but again, I want to applaud the work of Keith, Junisa, Michael Kane, and so many others who have worked tirelessly in this area the past year. The ability to expand the capacity of this important work is made possible by the generous voters of this community who approved a $1 million operating levy this past November. This was the second successful referendum in 2 years. 2 votes of confidence from the community for our school district. I believe this is in large part to the community's faith in our school board and the work that our CFO and his amazing finance team, who work hand in hand with our oversight committee to ensure every dollar is accounted for and the promises we make are the promises we keep. I want to also thank Justin Katz and the work of CTA for their support in not only passing the referendum, but coming to the table as a continued partner to work through the nuances of the teacher longevity bonuses. Speaking of our penny at work, under the leadership of Chief Operating Officer Mrs. Wanda Paul, the facilities team has been hard at work. This past summer, over 220 projects were completed, both large and small. Over winter break, 60 projects were completed, including installation of 12 new chillers. This coming spring break won't be a break for anyone in the district. As you can see, there are multiple projects that will ramp up while the rest of us are enjoying this postcard perfect weather. And I also just want to mention it is fascinating, board, when I go out to schools and something new has shown up, whether it's an air conditioning unit or a roof, and the principal's like, oh my gosh, overnight, this thing just showed up. And so what a pleasant surprise with the hard work of this team, the maintenance team, for all the work that they do. In total, there are currently $270 million worth of projects in process, 46 of which are security related. Keeping this work moving is a big lift, not just for the facilities team, but the purchasing and budget teams as well. I want to thank all of them for their hard work this past year. The team has also been hard at work on some of the things that aren't immediately evident. We've deployed an additional 25,000 Chromebooks this school year, bringing our device-to-student ratio down to 2-to-1. More devices require better connectivity. Under the leadership of our Chief Information Officer, we've replaced our framework systems and upgraded our district bandwidth. All elementary schools have had server upgrades and just in time, because in addition to deploying additional Chromebooks, we have also started to deploy the interactive smart boards into our classrooms. Board members, these initiatives continue to be made possible as a result of your leadership and the continued support of our community. Speaking of the people who make things possible, our Human Resource Division under the leadership of Dr. Gonzalo LaCava continues their laser focus on hiring the best teacher talent for our students. This year, they hired over 1,700 teachers to walk into our classrooms for the first time. We continue to seek out and hire teachers who look like our students. And this year, we increased our hiring of minority teachers to 44%. For the third consecutive year, we have planned for all staff to receive a raise again. And I'm proud of the school board and the finance team for making the living wage of our employees a continued priority. And in the spirit of continuous improvement, the Human Resources team just hosted the Florida Sterling Council for a site visit. They've had every piece of data and processes combed through for the purpose of benchmarking the division against the best in the state and country. We will be eagerly awaiting their feedback. We continue to invest in our leaders in partnership with Florida Atlantic University and the Leadership for Excellence and Equity program. We have teachers in the pipeline to become district leaders the Palm Beach way. Continuing to grow our own is a priority across the entire district, and the leadership team continues to plan for these pipelines. Our finance team has also received important awards, setting them aside as one of the best in the industry. And even though you just received a deep dive into our instructional updates at our last board workshop, I cannot say enough about how proud I am of our continued efforts to get kids across that stage. And I am looking forward to shaking the hands of another 14,000 plus kids in a couple of weeks. My chiropractor is on notice. Teachers, principals, teachers, and school-based staff, and I just want to say thank you to all of you for your continued support of our students. And lastly, personally, I just want to thank this school board for your leadership and your hard work over the past year. It's truly been my pleasure to work alongside you, and I appreciate the way that you forced me to grow in my leadership and just grow as a man, and I thank you for that. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Dr. Fennoy. Dr. Fennoy, with the indulgence of my colleagues, I'd like to comment on your comments. Thank you for your leadership. It's difficult to believe that 1 year has already passed, and it's impressive when we reflect on your many accomplishments over the past 12 months. What a critical year this has been for our school district. We knew 1 year ago when we were hiring our next superintendent that we were in the midst of major changes in education, academically and from a security point of view. You have proven yourself as a true leader, a humble servant, and a source of motivation for our students, staff, and this board. Dr. Fennoy, your vast experience in this district first as Chief Operations Officer has proven invaluable to all of us as we navigate the changes in school security measures, oversee the countless penny sales tax funded projects throughout the district, and as we went to voters to support our referendum in November. You, of course, bring so much more to the table than your COO experience. Your steadfast and calm leadership style has been inspiring. I'm confident that under your leadership, we'll see the graduation rate continue to soar, and we will meet or exceed the goals set in the district's strategic plan. Dr. Fennoy, your vast experience in this district, first as Chief Operations Officer, has proven invaluable to all of us. You, of course, bring so much more to the table than your COO experience. Your steadfast and calm leadership style has been inspiring. When you were first hired as superintendent, I joked that you are young enough to be my son, and we had a deal. Do you remember that deal? I told you that if you promised not to call me Pops, I wouldn't call you Sonny. And so far, we've kept that promise. However, I will make one fatherly comment that I hope you will take in the true spirit that it is intended. I'm truly proud of you. I'm proud of the work you are doing. I'm very proud that you're the face of our district and how you continue to share the school district story. And we look forward to continuing working with you with the common goal of academic excellence and providing a world-class education for all children. Congratulations on your anniversary. Here's to many more.
Thank you, sir.
Board comments, Mrs. Whitfield.
Thank you. I would also like to take a quick second to say happy anniversary to Dr. Fennoy and also the rest of this iteration of the leadership team, especially our Deputy Superintendent, Mr. Oswald. I think I'm always proud of you. You guys do such an amazing job, and I do want to say thank you so much for this 1 year of service, and I'm looking forward to many more. If I could put a suggestion, I'd like at least 5, maybe 10, if you want to aim that direction. Right now, that's I feel I'm very proud of you. Okay, so I have a couple of things I want to mention. First of all, is last week was Palm Beach County Days, and we were in Tallahassee. You had a great representation from your board. I'll let them talk about their experiences. But one thing I wanted to assure you is, first of all, your superintendent was there, which was amazing to have him. He does such a good job of speaking to our legislators and talking about our issues. Also, we have a great leadership team up there that brought us around, and I want you to know how hard we're working to make sure that we're heard in Tallahassee. I feel like that's a very important thing for us to make sure that your voices are carried forward, and it was a pleasure for me to be a part of that. The next thing I wanted to mention is we have a special donor in the audience that we are going to recognize, but I wanted to take a second, really, because I think it's a special and exciting story. We have our homeless liaison with us, which is Beth Leffler, and she had expressed an interest in having flexible funds to help our homeless children when they have a need that may not be covered by some of our other funding sources, and we have to document so much. And so she was able to raise, I believe, about $12,000 from the Leslie Alexander Foundation, represented here today by Ellen Andel. And it's just such a special pot of money because it really is going to really make a difference in the day-to-day lives of these children. And it is such a wonderful thing to have organizations, especially one that's so new to our community, really step up to help such a special group of children. So I wanted to say thank you for that. And last, I want to mention this afternoon, I got an opportunity to go to the Palm Beach Post. Under the direction of our school food service department, we have been partnering with the Living Hungry organization, and they always come through for things like spring break and Christmas break and our holidays and our weekends to really make sure that our children are fed during that time. We had 52 different schools come today. Their principals came, or they sent a staff member to pick up food to bring to their students, to have food for over the holidays. So we are going to have a whole week off, and for most of us that means everything happy and wonderful, and I'm looking forward to that time off. But for some students, that is their main source of food coming to school. So to be able to have this food donated to them so that they have something for over that holiday is really, I think, a special thing. So I want to say thank you to Living Hungry and the organizations that have sponsored that, and a huge thank you to our school food service department for coordinating all of the schools and all of the people to come and pick up those things. So finally, I want to say have a really great spring break, and it would be a really huge birthday gift to me if nobody had any kind of incidents or issues. I want a really calm spring break, so I'm going to ask you for that for my birthday present, and thank you so much for this lovely cupcake. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Whitfield. Ms. Brill?
Thank you. So this is all going to sound like deja vu, but I'll start off by saying that time sure does fly, Dr. Fennoy. It seems like just yesterday that you were selected to lead our fabulous district, and I have to say it has truly been a pleasure to work with you as well as the members of your team. And I'm so excited as I look ahead to the things that we're going to accomplish and keep furthering. And time does fly, as Mrs. Whitfield mentioned, it's spring break. So for those of you that Dr. Fennoy are not having come to work over spring break, take time with your families and your loved ones, relax, enjoy the sunshine, breathe. We know that testing time is around the corner when you get back, but we just want you to have a very happy and a safe spring break. And I also want to touch on the fact that last week several of us did travel up to Tallahassee, both in advance of Palm Beach County Day and during Palm Beach County Day, to fight the fight for our schools. And I have to tell you that in the 8 years I've been sitting up here, I want you to know this has been our most productive trip ever. And in large part, it was due to the fabulous team that we have with our lobbyists. We had a discussion at the last board meeting, and I've got to tell you, we have boots on the ground locally with Rita Solnit, who does a fabulous job locally, and then Ron LaFace and his assistant Megan with Capital City Consulting up in Tallahassee. They set up the meetings we wanted. Very bipartisan. They prepared us. We walked in there with full support, and it was orchestrated so perfectly. And as Mrs. Whitfield said, we will still continue to do that. I know that Mr. Shaw and Mrs. Andrews are going to be up with the Florida School Board Association. Others of us are going to remain nimble and ready to fly up there or to drive up there if needed for this session. But I am so proud because this is the first time that I didn't come back and complain about the way everything was set up. So thank you, Dr. Fennoy. Thank you to Ron LaFace, to Megan, and to Rita Solnit. And again, everybody, a happy and a safe spring break. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brill. Mrs. Andrews?
Thank you. And I'd also like to say it's been a great first year, Dr. Fennoy. We've had many accomplishments. And I'm so thankful that the referendum, the penny sales tax, just our major projects, we've been successful. We've been successful because we have a great team. Mr. Oswell, you're everywhere. I see you on the ground with Dr. Fennoy making things happen. But it's because you have a great team, Dr. Fennoy and Mr. Oswell. And it's that leadership team, the schools, all of the teachers and the community working together. So it's been a good year, and we're looking for great things for the future. So congratulations on your first year. Now, I would like to have a few minutes extra if I can get it, because I've got a lot to talk about today. So again, good afternoon. We had a wonderful trip to Tallahassee. It was a whirlwind trip to Tallahassee in the cold, but we know what to do when we have to fight for what we need for our schools, our students, our teachers, our community. And I want to thank everybody that came from Palm Beach County, all of the different officials from the county level, from the cities. We all came together to talk to the legislators about the priorities for Palm Beach County, and we were plugging in heavily for what we need for the Palm Beach County School District as far as our priorities. And I'd like to thank the legislators for listening to us and smiling with us and saying that they heard us and they're going to help us. But we're going to keep going to Tallahassee so that they won't forget us, so that we can get what we need for our district. But as I returned to Palm Beach County last week, there were many surprises and secrets this week. As I returned, I want to tell you about some behind-the-scenes things that happened. You know, you never know when you leave home and you pack up and go somewhere what you're going to get when you come back. But when I came back, there were many secrets out there. So as I received emails at the end of last week as I was coming back home, there was an air of extra excitement in the air. Emails and text messages stated, "It's a surprise that will be revealed at Royal Palm Beach High School on Monday at 8:30. Be there. It's a secret. Shh. You can't tell anybody." So to my surprise, I received another email text stating, "Be at Loxahatchee Groves Elementary School on Tuesday at 11:45 a.m. Be there. It's a secret. Shh. Don't tell anybody." So it was hard for me wandering around before those dates to figure out, shall I tell my husband? Shall I tell my grandkids? Who could I really tell? I don't know really what's going to happen, but something special is about to happen. So I arrived at Royal Palm Beach High School on Monday morning to see the excitement, the enthusiasm, and the exhilaration. There was Dr. Fanoy, the principal, Dr. Armas, the region administrators, the HR team, cameras from the newspapers to the television stations, families. This is the big one, I said. Guess what, Miss Andrews? It's the Palm Beach County Teacher of the Year celebration. You're a part of this. Get ready. So being the Teacher of the Year for the 10th largest school district makes the news all the time, because we know we have great teachers in Palm Beach County, but getting to be the Teacher of the Year is big news. We were told then to be quiet. It's going to be Mrs. Boyd, the IB and ACE teacher. Her family and newborn baby were waiting for the celebration. We were all in that little room waiting. We wondered if Mrs. Boyd knew, but she knew nothing. She was unaware in her classroom teaching. I remember going to an event at the school a year ago, and I heard the students rave about her teaching and how outstanding she was in the classroom. And so as we began to look at Mrs. Boyd and walk down the hall quietly, not to make a lot of noise in the school because everybody was on task, we went to Mrs. Boyd's room. There was Dr. Fanoy leading the way with the flowers, the cameras, everybody was just looking. Mrs. Boyd did not know what was going on when we walked in her room. The baby was there smiling, says, "That's my mommy, that's my mommy." He can't talk yet, but we knew he knew that was his mommy being honored as the Teacher of the Year. So I want to tell you, Miss Boyd grew up here in Palm Beach County and attended South Olive Elementary School, Bach Middle School, and graduated from Suncoast High School. She told us that she felt that the district did so much for her and to promote her education, that it was no question she wanted to come back to the district and make a difference for the children. And as you went into her classroom and you saw that IB math and those ACE questions on the board, I was looking and I wondered if I could answer those questions, and I looked at Dr. Fanoy and all the other people. We knew she was awesome right on the bat because the students were engaged and getting it done. And we're so lucky, so blessed to have her at Royal Palm Beach High School. But it didn't stop. It just didn't stop. Yesterday was another exciting day. I says, I've got to be quiet because I can't tell a soul. I was heading over to Loxahatchee Groves Elementary. It was another secret. Shh, you can't tell anybody. I was in the Glades that morning. I had to get in my car and make it back to Loxahatchee. I couldn't tell the people where I was going. I had to leave my meeting early, but I said, let me get over there. They sent an email to me. Park in the back of the school. You're going to see a group of people standing there waiting for the special event. There was Dr. Fenoy again with flowers and reporters. The human resources people, the region people were there, cameras, the family. Everybody was there. I said, oh my gosh, this is another big day for Palm Beach County. This day was for the Employee of the Year. I wondered who the person was because we didn't know. We were sworn to secrecy. We just knew to be there. So I was asking the people, well, who is it? Do you know the name of the person? And they didn't seem to know any more than I knew. So we found out it was Annette Blanco, the principal's secretary. She's the go-to person for all things related to keeping the school running efficiently at Loxahatchee Groves Elementary School. And Miss Blanco is an awesome lady. She always greets me with a smile every time I'm there to visit, and she keeps the school running so smoothly, helping those wonderful students with clothing, food drives, and whatever they need. Now, a little bit about Loxahatchee Groves. It was the first school built out there in the area. You look at the acreage now, it's booming with people. Loxahatchee Groves was the first school, the granddaddy school that started it all in the acreage. And now Ms. Blanco has set the bar for the very best of employees and the service and care that they can provide for our students, teachers, and staff. Again, I'm just so proud of all the excitement, the wonderful accolades, the great staff, the new Employee of the Year, the Teacher of the Year, coming from District 6. Yay. Let's give that a hand, everybody, because that was big. And lastly, I've got to sneak a couple things in, Mr. Barbieri, the real deal right here. I want us to say congratulations to Marie St. Louis. She won $40,000 from Take Stock in Children. She's a senior at Glades Central High School. She is one of 7 that was selected by the state of Florida last week in Tallahassee for Leaders for Life. $40,000 scholarship to go to Florida State University. That's where she's going. And so we're so proud of her. And the last shout out is for Pahokee Middle School Robotics. Keep up the great work. You're winning, winning, winning. We are winning all over Palm Beach County, right there in District 6. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Marcia Andrews. You should have been a preacher. Dr. Robinson.
Okay, thank you. You know, I got to learn how to do that. I'm taking notes. So let me just say this. So you probably know that sometimes I had difficulty staying in my lane, and sometimes I take great joy in not staying in my lane. But I have to say, in terms of your 1 year, Dr. Fenoy, I don't know if you really realize this, but sometimes I have difficulty in our conversations in figuring out if, in that particular conversation, if I'm the board member or am I your auntie, right? And so I will say that, and I'm going to say this now, but I'm not going to say it too often because you might get the big head, all right? But both as your board member and your auntie, I am proud of you. And I vow that I will continue to push you to be even better, okay? And the district as a whole. But so, my monthly Black History Facts. I decided I'm going to take a little bit of a different path. So, you know, most months I will write out some information on a particular fact. So I've decided that we're going to move to the next level, and I'm going to provide you with information so you can get more facts yourself. And so I'm going to start sharing books, right? So today I brought the Journal of Negro History. Now this is volume 1 of, I have 6 volumes at my home. it belonged to my granddaddy, and he passed it on to my daddy, who passed it on to me, and I look forward to passing it on. I think I'm gonna just skip my sons and go to the grandchildren, but whatever. Published in 1916 by Carter G. Woodson. Now, you ought to know who Carter G. Woodson was, and if you don't, that's your assignment. So the contents of this one, so this is a scholarly document. This is, and actually it's still being published. But it's a series of scholarly works. And so in this first volume from 1916, some of the reports or documents included the Negroes of Cincinnati prior to the Civil War, a review of a book on the Haitian Revolution. How about this, one of my favorites? The historic background of the Negro physician, the Negro soldier in the American Revolution, freedom and slavery in Appalachian America, right? One of the documents is 18th century slaves as advertised by their masters. The additional scholarly works include the attitude of the free Negro toward African colonization, People of Color in Louisiana, Part 1. And how about this? Notes on Negroes in Guatemala during the 17th century. So obviously you can't have this book, but I would hope that at least maybe we can start making sure that the electronic versions of this outstanding series of scholarly works starting more than a century ago, written by African scholars about the African diaspora, that we will make sure that that's available for our teachers and our students to learn from as we teach people to think critically. And in order to do that, you have to get some background information. And how about going back 100 years and coming forward? And so I just wanted to share this. This is the first book. I have a house full of them. And so I don't know how many I'll be able to get through, because I'm not staying here forever. I just promise you that. But I can't get through all those books at my house, so maybe I have to start doing 2 at a time or 3 at a time. But this, I think, is the grandfather, right? This is the one that helped my daddy understand who he was, and therefore helped me understand who I am. And so I hope that we come to understand more about my history so that we will have higher expectations of children that are obviously of African descent, and that we will really work towards equity. We can't work towards equity until we study history and set clear equity goals. And I think this is part of the process. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. Vice Chairman.
I can recall the evening and afternoon when this board made the decision to appoint Dr. Fennoy as superintendent. And sometimes when we make decisions, it's how it feels when we make that decision. And I think the day that we made that decision, we all felt like we made absolutely the right decision, and our district was moving in a direction that we would be proud of. And I know the entire time I've been on the board, one of the priorities that I've always felt like I had was that we needed to make sure our district had stability and leadership and direction. And Dr. Fennoy, you have done that. And I appreciate that. And I can't even begin to say how pleased I am with the work that you've done. The one thing nobody talked about yet tonight, and just very briefly, is the impact that Dr. Fennoy has had outside the school district and the leadership that he's taking with the Florida, with FADS, the Florida Association for District School Superintendents, the work that he's doing with other agencies around the country. I think I've seen all of those TDEs that we signed for him to be in other places representing not only Palm Beach County, but representing education as a whole in this country. And it's one of those messages that we don't always know about, but it's something that I think has a tremendous, tremendous impact. The other part of it is not only has he taken that leadership, but he's been the kind of leader that has allowed people on his staff, the leadership team, to be part of growing that way too. So Dr. Fennoy, thank you. Congratulations on that. And I hope that you are settled here until both of your kids are more than graduated from high school in Palm Beach County. And your daughter is what, 4 now? 3. So that gives you all an idea how long it'll be. So later tonight, we're going to be recognizing Jim Pegg, who was served as the president of the Palm Beach County Safety Patrol Association, and we're recognizing him. But in the next 30 seconds, I want to just share how much work it takes for the people who are involved in safety patrol to make those trips happen. What it took for Jim to be the person to arrange transportation, to do the food, to do the lodging, to schedule all of the things for transportation with buses and train and everything. This is a major, major undertaking that isn't something that just happens 1 month a year. This has been a 12-month process and has been for all of the years. Palm Beach County will certainly miss his expertise, but I know he'll be on call. And later tonight, thank you, Jim, for everything you've done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. As I advised all of you last meeting, I'll do a chairman's report each month if there's something to report on. So it's attached to the agenda for tonight. You also each have a hard copy. I'm not going to read it all because it's there for you, but I'll summarize a couple things. I finished meeting individually with all 7 of the county commissioners. The intent of those meetings was not only to open up communication between the school board and the county commissioners, but also to bring to their attention our need for increase in the school impact fees, as well as requiring developers who are going to build huge tracts of residential developments to set aside some land for us. At some point, I explained to the county commissioners that at some point we're going to need to put schools where all those homes are at, and if they don't start setting aside some land for us to do that, we're not going to have any place to put the children that are coming from the thousands of homes that the builders are building in the county. And I seem to get some agreement from them that they would help us with that. Since our last meeting, I also attended the following events: the EMA Principals Breakfast, the 2019 Diamond Award Luncheon, the Career and Technical Education Champions Dinner, the Annual Educator Association Dinner, the Women of Worth Award Luncheon, the Education Foundation and Business Development Board Distinguished Alumni and Leadership Awards, the Cambridge Scholar Awards, and together with some of my colleagues on the board and district staff, the Palm Beach County Days in Tallahassee. Also want to mention back to the commissioners, several of the commissioners indicated that maybe it was time for us to get together again and have a joint meeting so we could discuss common interests. So if I can see a show of heads in agreement, I'll talk to the superintendent about scheduling a joint meeting with the county commission. Looks like we have an agreement on that. Great. I have attended all the swearing-ins of the new police officers. I encourage all of you to do that. I know several of you attend those with me, and it's a great opportunity to welcome the new officers to our district. I also met weekly with Superintendent Fennoy, General Counsel Rico, Inspector General Chu, Deputy Superintendent Oswald, Chief Operating Officer Wanda Paul, who I want to congratulate. We talked a lot tonight about your accomplishments, Dr. Fennoy. One of the great things that you did is you had her as your COO, and she's done an outstanding job in this district coordinating all the work that's going on, especially the work in District 5 with the building of 3 schools. So I appreciate your efforts, Mrs. Paul, and thank you for your commitment to the children in our district. Finally, I would like to address the, I get to it, the order from the hearing officer in the DOA case, the 43-page order. I read through that order in the case of Renaissance Charter School, Inc. versus School Board of Palm Beach County. And after analyzing that order, not only as a school board member, but also as an attorney, I'm disappointed and frustrated with this inequitable interpretation of the statutes. The position of the board took in this case was not only in a good faith, but proper interpretation of the law. Charter schools operate under their own board of governors, have control of their own operations, and they have disputed this board's authority for oversight or control on numerous occasions. To now take the position that our district could control the details of safety officer and/or the security protocols and security operations of charter schools is both impossible and ludicrous. I trust that this school board will later in this meeting, when we discuss agenda item LD1, vote to appeal the ruling of the administrative hearing officer so that we can move on in a sensible manner, protecting the children in this district. And with that said, we also have typically recognized the families and those of our employees who have passed away recently, so I would like to take the opportunity to do that at this point. I'd like first to recognize the passing of Jody Andrews. She was a specialist in instructional capacity development, Regional Office North, born in '76, and she passed away in 2018. Frederick Dearworth, teacher day-to-day substitute in the district substitute pool. He was born 1936. He passed away in 2018. Brenda Dominique, school treasurer, too, at Gladeview Elementary. She was born in 1963 and passed away in December 2018. Georges Gulame, teacher, secondary math, 9 through 12, Lakeworth High School. He was born in 1963 and passed away January 2019. Ahmed McAllister, custodian at Glade Central High School, was born in 1986, passed away February 2019. Robert Mullins, school police aide with our school police department. He was born in 1951 and he passed away in 2018. And a good friend of mine, John Cunningham, the retired school counselor from West Boca Raton High School. He was born in 1949 and passed away March 4th, 2019. If we could take a moment of silence to recognize these employees who have left us and their families. Thank you very much. Back to the agenda. That takes us to presentations, I believe.